Who is someone that was mocked at the moment, but then proven right years later? Joseph Lister first proposed that germs caused postoperative infections, and recommended that surgical instruments be sterilized between operations. People thought he was nuts. Barbara McClintock. She postulated the existence of transposons, certain types of genes, in DNA before anybody even knew what the actual structure of DNA is like. She was widely mocked by the scientific community at the time. Transposons were later confirmed to exist and she was awarded the Nobel. John Ray. Very skilled Arctic explorer who, unlike most of the rest of Europeans at the time, wasn't above learning from the Inuit. He was largely successful because of his willingness to learn from them and use their clothing in diet and techniques. Anyway, about 10 years after the Franklin expedition was lost, John Ray was out looking for clues what happened because the British Admiralty had a standing reward of £10,000 for anyone who had credible information about the expedition's fate. He found some physical remnants of the expedition and had met with Inuit who'd seen some of the last surviving members of the expedition. They related to him how they'd been taken by disease, lack of food, and how some of them finally succumbed to cannibalism. Ray took this information back to England, where society was absolutely outraged how he dared to spin such drivel. Surely no sophisticated gentleman of the hero's character that would be in Sir John Franklin's expedition would act so savagely. John Ray never got the award. Years later someone else did, who told of a story that was correct also to some degree, but less than Ray had been. In modern times, bone fragments have been found with telltale cut marks, thereby proving John Ray and the Inuit right. Alfred Wagner hypothesized plate tectonics in the 1920s. But this wasn't an accepted notion until the 50s. He was a meteorologist, and copped a lot of flack from the geological community at the time. Lindy Chamberlain. A dingo really did eat her baby. Sad face. Ignác Semmelweis. First doctor to champion handwashing as a means to prevent spreading infection. Everyone made fun of him. Who are you really? I have no fucking idea, I just get by daily. I ask myself all the time. Someone who thought they would be someone but grew up to be a normal dude with no importance to the world. I am someone who writes an entirely too long comment about himself and then chooses not to post it. Just another average guy with unrealistic expectations. I'm alright, bit of a cunt, but I'm alright. What is the one thing that has ruined most of people's lives? Unresolved, unprocessed trauma and grief. I guess that's two, but they go together. Fear of failure. The inability to delay gratification. For me personally, it's procrastination. Edit. Thank you so much for the upvotes and the awards. Guess I am not the only one struggling with procrastination. Gambling and other addictions. Bad parents. What is a luxury in one country, but a common item in another? A bed. I'm from the Philippines and I've never had a bed. My family has slept on either a thin mattress on the floor or a banig. A handwoven mat with no cushion, so you might as well be sleeping on the floor. For most of my life, and this is how it is for majority of the people in the country due to poverty. Acai. In the USA they are this overpriced superfood. In Brazil, and presumably other places, it's just a tasty treat that can be served in multiple ways from normal places whenever you're in the mood. Air conditioning. Japanese seem to be amazed at how abundant melons are outside of Japan. It's like they're a luxury over there. Avocados. I went to Belize and they grow naturally and just saw a pile of like 50 avocados just rotting on the ground because there was just way more than anyone's ever going to eat. It was crazy. Soda cans. here in the US are cheap AF. But in my country they are a luxury. We buy usually a 2-liter bottles and we have to make it last. What smell, when you smell it, instantly makes you happy? Whenever me and my best friend are getting ready to go out, she always sprays this particular perfume on the both of us before we go. It's always the same perfume. And we've used it ever since our first night out. So once in a while I'll catch a whiff of this perfume in public. And I'll immediately think of out nights out and all of the fun times we've had while wearing this perfume. Bread that just come out of the oven. Wood smoke, the smell of leaves in autumn, fresh baked bread, the cold smell you get in winter. Cookies baking in the oven. Pine trees. Subscribe, my brothers.